Hello, this is Crinstar, and today I am going to have a kind of a silly video and or somewhat inspirational if you want to do it. I want to say that Bitwig's grid is a lot like programming, and if you're familiar with it and you want to do some programming, I would encourage you to learn it. Bitwig is a lot like programming, and I'll kind of explain the ways and I'll demonstrate. One of the things I'm going to use the grid, and I'm going to talk about some programming concepts. So this might be boring if you're not really into this. You know, I'm going to talk about some concepts, and I'm going to show some examples. Like with this is LinkPad, one of the cool utilities that we have as programmers for C# development that allow you to write code in here and then click, and then it will execute the code and give you live feedback on the code that you write. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a script type environment for C# application development, or I mean just development. So you can play around with coding and stuff like that, and learning and be able to actually execute things without having to go and download the massive Visual Studio or anything else like that. Pretty cool. So let me get kind of started. So I'm in the FX grid because basically it helps illustrate one of the core concepts of development. All development programming languages have a start and the end. It's called the control flow. It begins, and so we have this audio in and this audio out. And much like in development, it has a start and it has an end. So in here, it also has a start and an end. It's often called top-down programming because it starts at the top and it goes down. Object orientation is sort of similar to top-down programming with objects and stuff like that, but realistically, you still start from the top, you still end up at the bottom. Event-driven programming throws a monkey wrench in there, but guaranteed most, if not all, programming that you could ever do, there's a start and there's technically an end to everything you're doing. The also concept is that you have input or parameters that come in, and then you do some sort of processing, which would be where this line goes through, and then you have your output. So that's kind of like this. You have your insert, and you have sort of the output that you're doing. So realistically, I could switch this over to an application, and this says main, and your input would be in here, like you have some type of args or something. If you're writing command line application, and that's your start, and then that would be your input, and you could do something with this input. Kind of the same concepts, okay? The next big main concept is something called conditionals or logic that's also here in Bitwig. Basically, we're looking at changing the control flow, or the way that it goes from start to finish. We're looking at moving and adapting. This is one of the things that the Bitwig grid has kind of confounded me on doing, because realistically, this only shoots out a positive and negative on there, but that doesn't change control flow, which means that it's supposed to do something dependent on what you're evaluating this conditional. So in C#, the example is we're gonna take something called a variable, and I'm gonna gloss over it really quickly to try to illustrate this point, but so basically we got this variable called conditional. It's gonna equal 0, and then we're gonna say, hey, if the conditional equals double equals 0, then I want to print the next line. If not, then it's gonna just print this, right? So it's basically going in here and executing the code in here, and that means that it's breaking the control flow based upon this. So if we change the variable here, it doesn't print it because it basically goes in here, reads the condition is false, and it doesn't go in there. Therefore, just making a straight line or a beeline to the next line. But if we put it back to 0, the conditional works and it goes. So you have that same sort of concept here in Bitwig with the different logic things here. And you can sort of do some sort of logic with the different like the sums and the merges and the splits, especially the split here. We can set this up to go to here, and then we can set and say, hey, go into here, and then let me go to math, and let me say if it's a constant. So if the constant equals, then it would use 1. If it's not, then it goes to the other one. And as you can see, through the conditional, we have sort of the same similar setup here. Of basically, if it's 0 equals, if this is equal to 0, which it's not, it's actually doing this one. But if it goes to 1, it changes the the path that it's going down. It's going to select this one. So you kind of can mimic kind of like if-then statements using this sort of same setup. So we have this conditional statement, and then this control flow. So basically, it can go in, and sort of you have sort of a parallel type of processing, one for the control flow, and then one for the actual conditional and one for the control flow. I'm probably doing a great job explaining this. Let me know in the comments how you think, and for the people that know how to program and the people that doesn't know how to program, but knows the grid. I'd like to know. So another concept that we have is sort of the sort of display or value. We have to know things are going on, and in programming, this console.writeLine is a godsend for people that want to know how the application is performing, or if I want to tell stuff to the outside. To the user, what's going on. So instead of this non-informational type of thing, so basically we have the condition happen, and that we have the end, and we have this conditional equals 0. And if we execute it. We see the condition happen and then the end, right? So we have some sort of information coming back to the user that something happened. So if we change it, obviously the thing's not getting printed out. So we kind of have the same thing in this little thing right here, this value readout. So when we hook something to the value readout, we can get information on what that value actually is. And it updates. We can have different information like I think that's the decibel level, the pitch, and then the megahertz, or the hertz that are not the megahertz, but the hertz or the speed of something going. But this is your display readout to the end user, which is the person looking at it, what these values are. There's different types of graphs that tell you information. Development also has these, but usually that's reserved for special types of applications like Excel or Crystal Reports, I think was the big one back in the 90s, or SQL Reporting Studio, that kind of stuff. There's ways of getting your graphs and stuff like that these days. If you heard that, I'm drinking something and I needed not to. But basically, this can be acting as your display out to give you a diagnostic information of what's going on inside your grid to allow you to understand what's happening. So, like if I want to know the pitch that's incoming, so if I click on that and then go that, I'll understand what the pitch is thanks to this one right here. So if I go down here and click on the pitch, it's showing me a diagnostic readout. So same thing here. If you want to know what's going on, you do console.writeLine and you give it the string. Sometimes you want to know what the value is. So basically, you can do something like this, which is grabbing the value of what conditional is, and this is a little trick in C sharp that allows you to. This thing's called a string, totally. And we have different types and stuff like that. Just like in Bitwig, we have different types of data. We have the audio, we have the pitch information, we have the phase information. Those are different types. In programming, we have different types too. This is called an int. Whenever you use double quotes, this is called the string. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to output a string, and then I want to take the results of what that int variable is and print it out. So let me fix this up here to put it back to it working. And so it's printing the value of the conditional. Pretty cool stuff. So if I were to change this to 1, and I want to say 1, so you see that it's basically printing the 1 for what the variable is, and then it's printing it out here for the output. Kind of the same thing in here. So you have these different types. You have your audio, you have your phase, you have your pitch information, and we want to send that to our display. So we can do different fun things with the display. Same kind of concepts here. So realistically, you can map technically a lot of the concepts of the grid to a lot of concepts of programming. And you're able to do a lot of things. So with that being said, Bitwig the grid could be considered a what they call a visual application, a visual programming interface. There's other programming interfaces that are very visual called Scratch. They usually target it to children or teens to be building blocks for learning. If you love modded video games, a lot of the modding frameworks, especially in the Unreal engine, the big one that everybody loves putting games out in right now, Unreal 5. Its modding environment is visual also like this. They call it the blueprints. You can sit here and drag and drop things and make changes to the game through this like a visual type of interface. So this is a very viable way of programming and changing code without actually realizing what you're doing, and making it a lot more easier and adaptable for everybody to be able to change your application without realistically trying to teach them how to code. Because all this is doing is realistically just translating into literally this at the end. So pretty cool. I think that's probably all the concepts I want to go over. There's probably a ton of room to go over more. I don't want to go overly make an hour long or 2 hour long video to truly teach you programming. But I wanted to kind of give a realization to how this is close to programming if you've never thought of it. The one of the key reasons why I love the grid is I'm a developer. I've been a developer for well over 25 years. C# is primarily what I code in, but I've developed in a lot of different languages like Java and C++ and Visual Basic and PHP and all kinds of different languages. Basically, I can get used to development. So the Bitwig grid kind of hits that development and that techie type of thing in my mind. So therefore, I'm naturally drawn to it because I'm able to code and change and adapt things to the synthesizer and making sounds in what to me is natural. And if it's natural to you and you don't know how to program and you kind of want to, I think maybe you can probably bridge the gap between the two and not be too far out of sorts. Just Python would be a great start to start scripting or start learning programming. Python's a great language to do it. A little bit chaotic sometimes as opposed to traditional C. Because of the types and how it works, but either way, it's a great start. So I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Thank you very much. Please let me know in the comments how I did and what you think. Comments, questions, concerns, whatnot, and I will catch you later.